Here we go again.
Welcome back to Donuts in Space and part 4 of the USS Voyager build. We've now got the, I suppose you could say, the deconstruction side of this engineering section done. So we've basically, I think it's going to be easier to see them from that side or that side. We've got the windows removed that we need to on that side, and also on this side as well. And then we've also removed all of the detail that was at the front there and also down there and on the fantail part there itself. All the detail's been removed in order to rebuild it all with cardstock or styrene stock, should I say, really, just to make sure that, you know, the reason I'm doing that is because basically the details on those particular parts was quite thin anyway, especially around there. The areas weren't well defined as they should be, so I'm just going to rebuild those out of thin cardstock again, as I did on the first one, and just get those built up layer by layer by layer again to make them look good. One of the only other things that I do need to work on this kit, if we can get this thing to stay together without it falling apart. It's difficult to hold this, to be fair. I'm sure there could have been a better way that they could have put this together. The deflector array housing, it goes in quite nice. The only problem is that around this side it stands out quite high compared to that side, so I basically need to go in there and sand the inside down here to make sure that it's all level. And if I'm to be honest, because this is going to need to come in and come out quite a few times whilst I'm doing that process, it's easier to actually have this part completely glued together to do that. Because trying to hold this together and do the sanding and then try and putting this in together, it's just going to take too long, and it's a pain in the ass because these things keep falling apart. So the best way to do it is get these glued together, then do that, and then get this part put in for good once that's happened, and that'll help strengthen it up even more. The other thing is on these, I'm going to have to change and put it back together again. Here we go, come on, there we go. So as you can see down there, there is a few holes, and that's where we've taken off all the detail. Down the center line, the plastic is actually quite thin once you've removed all the details, so it does leave you with some little holes. So I'm just going to do the same as I did before, or on the other Voyager that I built, is once these are together, I will just put some putty in those gaps just to help fill them out. On the inside, I will just use epoxy to strengthen the seam, and the whole joint, really, to be fair. Make it stronger than it actually is at the moment. And then by the time I've done that, and then I've got all of the details built back up again on there, all those holes will be hidden. And then plus the fact, because we're going to have pieces that go across the whole thing, then that's going to actually help to strengthen that up as well. It didn't take too long the last time I done that, actually, to be fair. So hopefully it shouldn't take too long this time around either. One of the other things that I'm going to need to do before I do put these together really is, once I've got these light blocked and then sprayed in white on the inside, I need to get the photo etch in for the windows on both sides, and then also get the little rooms painted and put in place as well. And then I can actually just put the whole thing together and then put it to one side whilst working on other things as well. So that's those bits. Oh, the other thing actually that I need to do as well, if I can try and get this back together again quickly, there we go, is where we've got the hole there for the stand, that's going to be filled in. So I'll just put a little strip of styrene across there just to help strengthen that part up as well. And then fill it with putty from the outside and then smooth that down. And then re-drill the hole somewhere around there for the pole, just as I did on the last one. And then that one will be done. And then it'll just be a case of getting the electronics in there and then waiting really to put this together with the upper section. I'll just put those over there for the minute. So what I'm going to be doing next is turning my attention to all of these parts. These are really basically the only other parts that need any attention modification wise. So on here we've got these details here that need to be removed. They're going to be replaced with photo etch. We've then got the transporter arrays that need to be sanded off, and then again on the bottom we got the transporter arrays that need to be done, and then at the bottom there we've got the window that needs to be removed, ready for the photo etch, and also the room. And then we also need to drill the holes, one on each side for the navigation lights, and then also one in the middle for the anti-collision light. I nearly forgot what we was talking about there for a second. And then again it's going to be the same on the bottom for that as well, and then obviously just a hole through the middle there just to run the cables through. Now the if I can get the right one, hopefully that's going to be it, I think. Is it? No, because they're both the same. So is it going to be that one? Yes, it's going to be that one. So basically we've got two of these. Now on these there's not too much work that needs to be done, but it is kind of a little bit tricky. So we need to remove the plastic from the inside of there for the impulse exhaust. There's a piece of photo etch that goes into that gap. This kind of elongated U here needs to be sanded down by about a half, I think, to be fair. We need to get some round stock styrene in this part here of the U, and then the very edges of the U need to be chamfered about, I think, somewhere between a 25 to 30 degree angle. And then on top of that we've also got the intake for the impulse engines, and again we need to remove all of the details from inside of there, and then we also need to open them up on the inside as well so we can get the SMD in there for the lights. And then one of the other things that we need to do as well is get a hole drilled through this part here for the wires that are basically going to power the impulse engine and also the warp nacelles as well. So again, you know, not too much work to do on those, but slightly more time consuming because they're smaller areas, and the plastic on these are actually quite thick, so that it does take a little while to do. But I'm glad that I've got photo etch to take in most of those. This is basically the spine of the ship. So the torpedo launchers at the rear, they've got to be completely removed and then rebuilt with photo etch. So hopefully that shouldn't take too long to do on those. Not sure though, because I mean, they're quite big chunky things, so we should be able to nibble most of that off before we get to the point where we need to start using a scalpel or something to sand them with. So this is the deflector dish. Whoop. And I think I'm going to need to hold this up to the camera actually, to be fair. Whoop, wrong way. There we go. So all of the detail that's in those parts has got to be removed because there's photo etch that replace that. Mainly because the details on that are quite soft, and I believe that everything in the middle there needs to be painted anyway a separate colour to the main dish, so it'd be easier just to paint the photo etch and then get that glued in, and so I can paint those separately. We've also got this bit here as well, which is the auxiliary deflector array. We've basically got to work on the bottom of that as well, so that big nubbin on the bottom's got to come off, and then there's photo etch that needs to go on to that, and then we've also need to remove the rather large injector pin marks in those as well. Then that just leaves the warp nacelles. Hopefully we're going to choose the right ones to sit with each other. Nope, we didn't. So let's try that one. Hey, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Come on. Oh, my hands are giving up working. There we go. There we go. Right, so there's not really a great deal that needs to be done to this, to be fair. We just need to tidy up the joint on that side and on the other side for this. We then need to drill the navigation, the holes for the navigation lights are on this part here and also on the top part there. There's some really weak detail down the sides of these that needs to be removed. Plus the fact it kind of stops there, but it should actually go all the way around to there. And then plus the fact we're also going to need to deal with the seams on these as well. But apart from that, there's not really a lot of work done to these, to be fair. These are going to be quite simple. I'm going to need to check actually on the studio model, because I've got a funny feeling that somewhere around the Bizarre Scoop areas there are meant to be panel lines that can't be seen on here. So I'm just going to need to check and see, and if there are, then I'm just going to need to get those quickly scribed in. It shouldn't take more than a couple of minutes to do that, so but I'd rather check and look and see if we can get those details in there if they are needed. But that's kind of where we are at the moment, so I'm just going to carry on and start working on all of these parts, and then hopefully in a couple of days I might be able to come back. Well, for you, well, for me it'll be a couple of days, but for you it will be less than a second. So I will come back to you as soon as I've got all of these bits sorted out. We've now got all of the destruction side completed. It's only taken just over a week to do so, which really isn't that bad, I guess. It's a shame it didn't last longer, because it is my favourite part of the actual whole process, really, is sort of ripping it all apart. Second favourite part is putting it all back together again, believe it or not. And then painting would be the third, and everything else is a distant last, really. Sorry, excuse me. So the warp nacelles, basically all we've needed to do to this is drill a hole in the top and the bottom for the navigation lights that go in there, remove all of the detailing, around the back on both sides. The main reason being is that we need to get some stock styrene and wrap it right around until it comes down to here. There should be a gap in between each as well. It's a bit like pinstriping but raised detail, so we need to get those on. The other thing that I've done is I've gone into these small parts here, and basically what I've done there is just gone in with a triangle file and basically got the lines to all line up and get rid of all the plastic that shouldn't be in there, because the detail was looking a little bit weak in there and it just needed a little bit of filing to get that right. And I've done the same on this side as well. Apart from that, we've not really done anything to this, to be fair, because as I say, there's not really a lot of work that needs to go into it here. I mean, all we've got is the lights that go in at the front, the SMD strip to go in for the chiller grill, and then the 2 navigation lights. So that's basically it. I'm going to be doing these, I think, the same way that I did the first one that I made on the channel. I used 2 red LEDs in the front. I believe I did. I'd have to double check and look on the other model to see if that's correct, but I believe I did. If not, one single one down the middle will be fine. So I got those both done. I mean, the cells don't really take too long at all to do, to be fair. The warp pylons, we've removed all of the detail from the back end where you've got the impulse exhausts. That's going to be replaced with photo etch. We've also drilled out the whole, let's see if we can get you a bit of a better shot there. You should hopefully be able to see it there. So we've removed the plastic from in there, and then all we need to do is put some photo etch in there as well. The funny U-shape thing has been sanded down by about half, and the ends have been chamfered. The only thing that we need to do now to this is just basically put the little bit of styrene in there when we go to rebuild it. I've also cut the channels out on that side and also on this side for the wires to go through. Channels are a bit longer than they need to be. Sorry, they're wider than what they need to be, but I'd prefer to have enough room for the wires to move about a little bit. We've also removed the detail that was down here as well. That's going to be replaced by photo etch. And as you can see, unfortunately there we've got a corner missing, and that's because the plastic in this area is quite thin by the time you've taken off the detail. But the good thing is, when we put the photo etch on, that will cover up that anyway. So we've done that to both of those. Again, that didn't really take too long to do, to be fair. The dorsal spine, the only thing that we needed to do to this was remove the 2 torpedo launchers from there. Unfortunately, the back edge along there, we've taken the nick out of that, but we can repair that with a little bit of putty, so that's not really too much of a worry. There is a whole piece of photo etch that covers the whole of these 2 areas as well, so I'm not too worried about having sanding marks in there. If anything, that's going to help them just adhere to the surface that little bit more anyway. The holes, really, that's because the plastic again gets quite thin in those areas, and plus the fact, if you was to look at it from the underside, there was a big divot going into them. I guess they just suspect that we're not going to be taking those things off, but we have. So again, not worried about that. That'll be covered up with a photo etch, so you're not going to see any light leaks or anything through that. The main deflector dish, we've had to remove all of the detail from in there. That took a little bit of time to do, to be fair, because you have to kind of do that rather gently so you don't disturb any of the other details. That was done with basically a microfile and then gone over again with a little bit of sandpaper just to try and smooth it all out. This I'm going to primer before I do anything with it, because then that way I'm going to be able to tell if there's any deeper scratches in there that need to be removed, that are going to be seen through the photo etch detail that needs to go into there. Because at the end of the day, I don't want any scratches in there. It feels okay, but you just never know. So we all know that a piece of plastic can hide multiple issues until such time that it's had a layer of primer on there. Then it's going to show everything up like it's a neon sign. So that's that done. The secondary or backup deflector dish, we removed some of the detail from the top, and then we've removed all the detail off at the back. So that again is going to have photo etch that goes straight across the back there, and then more photo etch over the top of that, so it can still attach to the ship. The fantail, this one has taken a little bit of time to do. We had a transporter array emitter down this side and also down that side that had to come off. We've also drilled out the 3 holes for the navigation lights and the anti-collision beacon at the back. And we've also, on that side, we've cut out the holes for the wires to go through. Again, a bit too big, but you know, I prefer to have some room for the wires and a little bit of extra wiggle room for them so they don't get caught. We've also removed the detail from there and also from there. Again, that's being replaced by photo etch. On the back side, we've again had to remove the transporter array emitters there, which has been done, and then we've also got the navigation lights in place and also the anti-collision beacon as well. These 2 navigation lights, I've actually looked up at some reference pictures from the model that was sold at Christie's auctions, and they do actually have the navigation lights just sitting each side of the phaser arrays. God, I nearly forgot what they were for the second then. So we got those in. We have found, since doing the sanding down this end, we found that there's a little bit of a divot down that side there, and then we've also got another divot there and another divot there, and then there's also another divot there. So before primer goes onto this, that need to be done. We've also cut the plastic out for the window that goes in here in the fantail. I've taken out all of the plastic that was in there for the window. I remember last time using the Paragraphics photo etch set that I then had to go back in again and remove some more of the plastic. So whether I'm going to need to do that again for this kit using the green strawberry stuff, who knows, I've got no idea. The way that I got this one centered in the middle there is I kind of cheated in some respects, because all I did was I used and I don't think I think I might have thrown it away now actually, because I didn't need it. Well, when I say thrown away, I mean I'll put it in the spare parts box that us modelers always seem to. Ah, there it is. No, I didn't. It's here. So basically all I did was the shuttle bay bulkhead. I put that in place, then just drew a couple of lines up against the bulkhead so I had where the wall ends, and then just drew that in completely. I then cut the decal out off of the decal sheet, placed that on and made sure that it was absolutely centered perfectly. I then got a little bit of masking tape and just lightly taped the decal down, because I didn't obviously want to rip the decal at all. So I just lightly taped that down to the surface. and it kind of brings the big decal out to this point here where you've got like a half sphere really, I suppose, or a half circle, and then in the middle of that you just drill a hole and bam, there you go, thank you very much, there's your navigation light. So that's exactly where it needs to be. So it was quite a simple process to follow really. It just basically means that you have to cut the decal out of the off of the decal sheet, obviously still on its backing paper, and then you have to drill straight through the decal. You would need to put a hole in there anyway for the light to shine on through. So you know, you just have to be a little bit brave and go with the flow on that one really. So that's kind of where we are on this. That's all of the destruction done to this kit. There are no more parts to destroy. The only parts that are left are the clear parts, which are in the box and not going to be used for a while. So that's going to be it for this update, guys. Update 5 is just basically now where we start rebuilding this kit and get it looking better than it was when it left the Revell factory. So yeah, I will catch up with you in part 5. So until then, thanks for watching, and as always, please do take care.